Hi everyone, my name's Tajay, but I usually just go by TJ. I find it very easy. And here's my little speech for why I want to rerun for the Director of Finance. So, a little bit more about me. I am a finishing up my sophomore year, so I guess you could call me a rising junior. And my majors are finance and financial planning. I personally find myself to be some of my strengths are like planning or organization and scheduling. And one little thing about me is I was able to learn how to play three different instruments, and I feel quite strongly, in my opinion, that mint chocolate chip ice cream is the best ice cream out there. And so these are the expectations for what this position on the executive board are. And I personally feel that with my experiences and just the academic track I'm on, I have the capability and ability to fully meet and exceed these expectations. A little bit more about what I've been doing. I've been with RSA for the entirety of my college so far. Freshman year, I was able to join back for the VP of Finance, which is no longer a position. But back then, I managed the budget for my residence hall freshman year. And then at the end of that, I wanted to go to the next step, and I ran for director of finance at the end of my freshman year, going into the sophomore year. And I was luckily elected. And from there, I've been able to just sort of grow my budgeting and financial advising abilities. And so my goal has always been the goal of RSA, just to help make UD feel like a home to students, because I understand coming to a new college area and not really knowing a lot of people and feeling sort of out of your element. And in my case, I had RSA to help me overcome that initial hurdle. And I would love to be able to make it so every new face on this campus feels like this is their home away from home. And another big thing that I would love to do is I want to help make sure that this upcoming fall semester is going to be one of the best ones there. We're finally getting back to a full return, opening of campus, and I want to make sure that we're able to take full advantage of that as safely as we possibly can. And something that I've come to learn just over the course is why this quote here resonates with me so much is that this whole position and leadership as a student is something that's always going to be intertwined with learning. And my hopes are that as I can learn to become a better leader, I can also help other people learn so they can inevitably rise up and take advantage of all their new opportunities as well. And I would just like to say thank you, and for being very nice.
Good luck.
I was muted. Thank you, TJ. We're now going to move into our little modified period of question and answer for about 5 minutes. It is extendable 2 times if we need, but I can go first. I'll throw an X in the chat for good measure. So my question for you is, you did mention that, keep your screen shared for the time being. No worries. No, that was my mistake. I didn't tell you that. But you did mention that, one of your goals is, bringing, making the campus a good place to be. And just looking forward into next year as the university transitions into a fully open campus, there's likely going to be a lot of shift towards budget heavy programming with not just the e-board, but also the CAB members will likely want to do a lot more larger programming. And so keeping that in mind, how do you plan to balance financially supporting each position on the e-board and through CAB, while also planning for greater spending than we might have seen in this past year with our smaller initiatives?
I would say that the first thing that I would do would just be to have a talk with the executive board members about potential ideas that they were thinking about throughout the semester, just sort of implement a system so that if anybody has an idea of a project or a program that they would like to run, to at least involve me earlier on, so that way I can help them with finding the best cost-effective way to complete that task. And another thing is I plan to just have a more detailed budget for for lack of a better term. It would just be a lot more focused on ensuring that there is enough for a lot of different programs to run and not just have a few big ones, just sort of split it up so it's easier to manage and everybody has their amount of resources to help them accomplish the tasks that they need to get done. So I really would say that my biggest thing for ensuring a lot of things happen next semester would just be to plan out really, really well in advance, just how much you feel like you're going to need for the whole event. So that way I can help put it and fit it all together.
All right, thanks. Ryan, CNX.
Yes, I have one question for you, TJ. So the budget reimbursement process, for those who are familiar, can get a bit confusing. Do you have any plans to sort of bridge the gap in communication and make the procedure for requesting funds from RSA for both the executive board and the General Assembly a bit easier?
Something that there are two things that I could potentially, I'm thinking of trying to do to help make it easier. The first would be to try and streamline the reimbursement form, just see if I can make it a little more clear so that there isn't any real need for confusion due to some wording or small things like that. But another thing I would love to do would be I would open up my inbox and email. So in lieu of having or in addition to having the standard budget request form, I would also have CAPS try and email me their ideas for their budget, and then I could work with them near the start and trying to figure out what they really need and what they want to sort of accomplish with their program, so I can help with them get the necessary funds in a bit more of a streamlined manner.
Ryan, I see another X.
More question from me. So this year, as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic and just as a general trend that we've seen over the past 4 to 5 years, Resident Stipend Housing has cut their financial support for community advocacy boards and for the Resident Student Association. We also saw a decline in revenues from off-campus marketing, or on-campus marketing rather, because there were less students living on campus. So what will you do as Director of Finance to ensure that RSA is in a sustainable financial position and has the support from our campus partners going forward?
The first step is to ensure that there are a portion of funds from future revenues and incomes and just in general set aside so that in case there is a need for a bit more than there currently is, we could have something to draw upon. But a big thing that I wanted to work with, especially with the reopening of campus a little more, is we're trying to work collaboratively with different RSOs and places to sort of see if we could create fundraising events and mixed in programming and advocacy along with fundraising, so that way there could be a possibility for multiple avenues of RSA's mission to be fulfilled with 1 or 2 events.
X for me, I had one more. So you mentioned streamlining the budget reimbursement process and also earlier, the way that the e-board organizes their funds. So would you mind elaborating on what ideas you have regarding reorganizing our ledger or how we distribute our funds in different areas?
I'd say with reorganizing the ledger, it would be more of splitting not splitting, just more sectioning off the funds with a bit more of a defined limit for the amount to each budget. And so that's what I would love to do, with just reconnect and just sort of talk to the executive board members, because I would love to know to get a general idea of what they might have planned coming up in the semester, so that way I can sort of segment off portions of the budget varying upon like expected activity with the programs and potential programs in the future. So that way there isn't a lot of confusion or there's no being caught off guard by unexpected purchases or things that need to be done or bought.